Hey, somebody's got to make their bed. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, the Professional Noticer is sponsored by Books for Veterans. The Veterans Administration in Washington, D.C. has asked for 10,000 Andy Andrews books. So I'm personally donating as many as I can, but to reach 10,000, I need your help. What we're able to do to make that easier for you is for every $10 donation you make, a hardback book will be sent to the Veterans Administration for veterans, their families, and for employees of the VA. That $10 will cover the cost of the book, the shipping, and the handling. So whether you can make this a personal gift or a corporate donation, just go to andyandrews.com/veterans. This can be added to a website purchase or done as an individual entry. And thanks very much for your support. Observations and answers, that's what we do here on The Professional Noticer. And as you know, we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. And that's what we have today. Our guest is a longtime friend of mine. She is funnier than her husband. Her husband I've known longer than I have known her, but she's funnier than her husband, even though her husband's pretty funny. And this lady has built an organization that you just need to know about, and you need to know about my friend, Julie Richard. Hey, Julie.
Hey there, Andy. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad you are here. Now, do you call you the founder?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because since my husband is a pastor, people often ask me, what do we call you? Are you called the pastor's wife, Pastor Julie, First Lady Julie? And so when somebody asks me what I prefer, I typically just say Your Majesty.
There you go. Okay. Well,
so I am Your Majesty, and yes, and also the founder of Fearless Mom. That's right.
Your Majesty, founder of Fearless Mom.
Yeah, I changed my phone to say Your Majesty. And so my emails come to Your Majesty. My phone, Siri refers to me as Your Majesty. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like, what is your name? Your name is Julie, but I call you Your Majesty.
Yes, and I definitely changed Siri to have an accent for sure.
Oh, that is just great. That is great. Now, you're not only a fearless mom, you have been a mom that Polly and I have both watched. We watched you raise both your kids. You have a boy and a girl, so you got it covered. And at what point did you realize, I could help some people with this? I kind of get this.
You're sweet and generous to say that I kind of get this because I don't feel that way. I do feel, though, I think my passion for parenting is really out of my passion for children. My degree is special education. I love children. I taught first grade and I've taught elementary and preschool at church. I've done students as well, but I love, early elementary and preschool. And so my passion for teaching parenting really comes out of my passion for children. And so when did I think I have it figured out? I still don't think I have it figured out. What I do, though, is I try to encourage moms because I do believe that if there are little tweaks that we can make with what we're already doing, then we can actually have fun being a mom. And if we can enjoy it and feel like we're good at it, then our kids benefit. So when did I think I have it figured out? Yeah, I don't know about if that's ever been the case. But when did I think this is something maybe we could start? We had a mom ministry at our church, and it was incredible. But what I wanted to do, I think I wanted to come at it from a different perspective. I wanted to come at parenting with humor, with practical insight, with a biblical foundation.
Right.
And we could find practical, we could find biblical, but there just wasn't a lot of laughter. And we think that's pretty important, you know? It's our theme verse. She laughs without fear of the future. And so I think a lot of times the stories that I tell are all true about my children, but people laugh. I'm so okay if they're laughing at me and not with me, as long as they're enjoying it and they can take something practical home with them.
Wow. Now, how long has Fearless Mom been an entity?
Let's see. I'm thinking we are on year, I think we just hit our 8th birthday, or we're about to hit our 8th birthday.
That's what I thought. I get the emails every week, and I'm not a mom, but I get into what you guys do, and how you do it, and so I'm just I'm thrilled that you're here with us. So tell us, one of the things that I heard you say one time, and I went, wow, that is just a great insight. I heard you say to a mom, because you're answering a question from the stage, and somebody said, I have a daughter, and she is 5 years old, and she is incredibly strong-willed, and it's just like wearing me out. Do you remember what you told her?
I don't.
I will
I'm
never
dying to hear what I said.
Yeah, I will never forget it. You said, well, first of all, don't worry about the strong-willed thing. It's an asset. When your daughter is a teenager, she will have no problem telling a boy no. When, she's strong-willed, that's an asset. And I thought, man, that's a true answer. That's a great answer.
Well, we call them in Fearless Mom SWBs, strong-willed blessings. And so we truly believe that the child is a blessing and that strong will is a blessing, because we work hard on understanding our kids. You got to be a student before you teach. And so we learn our kids' personalities, and that intensity and passion and drive, we don't want to change it. I don't want to make, and I have an SWB. Emily is my SWB.
Yeah.
And so I always say, I don't want to change that. I just want to channel that. I don't want to make her less passionate, less strong, less intense. I don't want to make her less anything. I just want to help her use that for good and not make me pull my hair out. So
yeah, I remember when Emily was like 12 and watching her with you and Mac and thinking, who's the parent here? Who's that?
She came out of the womb with that personality. She was the only baby in the nursery with her eyes wide open at 1 hour old. And we said, boy, looking back, she was just sizing everybody up, just saying, okay, who's going to do what for me?
Wow. Well, so now contrast Emily with Joseph.
Well, I would say that Joseph is just as strong. It's just not on the surface. And so we call him, he would be an easygoing compliant. So we've got our
She's
SWB.
Not as much in your face.
Right. Not quite as bad. And so, and with Emily, she feels deeply about everything. There's no difference between changing the channel or removing a limb. It's I'm going to turn the TV off, or I'm going to remove your right leg. Same response. Whereas with Joe he feels deeply, just not about everything. And so I would say he just every day is a good day. It doesn't matter if there are clouds in the sky. It's just such a beautiful day, Mom. And I'm like, yes, it is. You are just so laid back. But don't be deceived. Those feelings are there. They're just under the surface. And it's not about everything.
So what is the benefit of each of those personalities, and what do you find that you have to kind of deal with?
Yeah, for me, the benefit is that I have two extremes. And
Right.
so when I'm teaching, I'll go, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. I can probably meet you in the middle with your child. And so what are the benefits? I think Emily's intensity, we knew that we knew what she was thinking and feeling all the time. And so we could address it, we could deal with it, and we don't worry. When Emily played basketball, or when both of them, Matt coached both our kids in basketball. When he coached Joe, he would say, okay, be aggressive. And he'd be like, yes, sir. And then, we'd tell Emily, don't foul out before halftime. Don't foul out, So both of them have strengths. I believe your greatest strength, no matter what it is, your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness typically. And so characteristics are neutral. It's just a strength or a weakness based on context and degree. And so that intensity, it can be a blessing and a curse. That laid back can be a blessing and a curse. With Joe, he was feeling a lot. We just had to dig to get it. And we had to really pay attention to his eyebrows, because that's how he told us what he was thinking and feeling.
Really?
With Emily, the neighbors knew what she was thinking and feeling. You
Now,
didn't have to be in the
explain the
same room.
eyebrows thing.
With Joe, to get to how he's thinking and feeling, you have to watch his facial expressions. And so his obedience, for instance, like we say, you have to obey swiftly, sweetly, and completely. So with Joe, this was always his response. Okay, buddy, go clean up your room. Yes, ma'am. And I don't know if you see my eyebrows there.
Yeah.
He was saying, I disagree with you. I don't want to. I'm going to say, yes, ma'am. So then if he did the eyebrow thing, you had to watch and make sure he actually did it, because saying yes, ma'am did not count as obedience.
Right.
But his eyebrows told all. If he agreed with you, if he disagreed with you, if he was mad at you, it still does.
That's going to be
he's 24. Yeah.
That's going to be very helpful for whoever he marries.
Yeah.
She'll have it all read. But Austin and Adam are the same way, just totally different. It's amazing. And they were, when they were babies, it was because Austin, you could put Austin down just kind of near you, and you could have a conversation, do what you're doing, just kind of every now and then just glance, and he would be there playing quietly. Man, when Adam came along, you put him down. If you didn't watch him, he was gone. I mean, he's gone.
And see, with your boys, they're both boys. With us, I think we expected the difference and we attributed the differences to male, female. But I think with you have a different insight, since they're both boys and they're not that far apart in age. So it's not like a huge age gap. They literally came out of the womb with those personalities.
Right. And then as we, and I guess I feel like, now that I've got you here, I'm in therapy or something. I just.
Are you kidding? We watch the way you and Polly parent more than you're one of when I study research, I watch the Andrews. That's one of my research points.
You are kind. If we've done anything right, it's that from the beginning we were intending not necessarily to raise great kids. We wanted to raise kids who became great adults. You know. Yeah. But I remember when they were little guys. They were older than babies, but they weren't yet adolescents. They were little guys, and you could see Austin's very cautious personality. It's very cautious. I never will forget taking him to the airport the very first time. And it's the first time he ever saw an escalator. And I just got on the down escalator and I thought he was beside me. But then when I'm halfway down, I look up and he's standing up at the top. And then I get to the bottom and he's still standing there. And I said, "Come on, buddy." And he goes, "Not gonna do it." He ain't stepping on those moving stairs. And we would take him to I remember taking him to the bumper boats. And Austin would not get on. And he stood on the side of the pool with his arms crossed while Adam, and I were in there just crashing into each other. And of course now they're adults, and Austin is very focused. He's quiet. He does what he needs to do. And Adam is landing 12-foot sharks going, "That's the greatest thing I ever did in my life." And it's like, oh my gosh.
But I think you guys created an environment, which I think is so important to be intentional to create an environment. As a parent, we're also, yes, we're teachers and trainers, but we're also students, and we learn, train up a child in the way he should go. And you've given them room to figure out who they are,
Right.
how each one of them, you've given each boy an opportunity to discover who he is, what his personality is, what stresses him out, and what, fuels him. It's you guys, I think, set a great example for that, creating that environment, creating that culture in which a child can be himself, which is so important.
Now, here is a question that I have that I think moms and dads would like to hear your take on this. So, you and Mac are awesome people. You got married, you have a long-term working great marriage, and you have these two kids who are different. They're from each other, right? Both of them great,
Right.
but different from each other. But do you and Mac sense that one of you is kind of more in line with the thought processes of one of them, and one of you is more in line with the thought processes of the other? That you just kind of, and then you just kind of sometimes struggle with kind of getting the other one, and he may struggle with kind of, I don't even know what they're talking about. Does that happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it's pretty common, particularly with two kids, but people who have a third always say the third, we don't know who he is like. We don't know who she is like. So I think that when most people are talking about it, they have two, and then the third or fourth is always, an anomaly. But absolutely. I think the caution that I would have there, at least with me, is then it's definitely true. Mac is more like Emily. Emily's nature is more like Mac's, out there wearing their heart on their sleeve. Everybody knows what they're thinking and feeling. And Joe is more like me in that we have the feelings, but we are picky and choosy about with whom we share those feelings.
Right.
And so I would say that it's easier I probably anticipate Joe's feelings and thoughts, but I think my caution there is putting on him what I think he's feeling.
Yeah.
Because he's like me. So as difficult it is for me, and now as we get older, we're saying as the kids get older, that as much as Joe was like me, he is so much like Mac right now. And they are not as different as we thought. And actually now Emily, so much like me, and we are not as different as we thought. We laugh about that. We were just talking about it last week, how we thought we had it figured out. Emily was like Joe, Mac was like me. I mean, Emily was like Mac, Joe was like me. But in reality, as they've gotten older, it's kind of flip-flopped. And I think my caution as a mom is putting on my kids' thoughts and feelings, because I know them so well. And I see my responsibility as preparing them for whatever comes their way. I sometimes put on thoughts and feelings that they don't yet have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. That does. Tell me a story of something that you experienced with one or both of your kids that at first you just like you didn't get, or you didn't know how to deal with, and then somehow you came to figure out what was going on or how to deal with it. You have any stories like that?
Yeah, Emily gives us a lot of fodder, and the good news is she is 1,000% open to my sharing the stories, and I think with her, it's easy for me to look back and say, I did not understand, because I'm more like Joe in that I am passionate about the things that I'm passionate about, and there are just a few things. I'm not passionate about every single thing. So with Emily, I didn't understand why things like a twisted car seat strap would send her into orbit. I didn't understand why that caused a tantrum. And I'm just like, don't let that bother you. In hindsight, I should have said, I see that bothers you. Let's work through it. But it was so foreign to me. And Emily had, an imaginary husband, Michael, when she
How
was
old was she?
3.
Oh, she was
She was 3.
three.
She was 3. Michael and Emily had a tumultuous marriage. I do not know for sure. Had I been her preschool teacher, I would have said, well, we know how her mom talks to her dad, because she would yell at Michael. I promise I did not talk to Mac that way at all. But Emily and Michael were always arguing about certain things. And so I took Emily to buy Easter shoes, white sandals, from the South.
Sure,
Like Polly,
sure.
I'm from Mississippi. There's
Yeah,
one
sure.
shoe that a little girl wears Easter, white sandals. So we go into this little boutique, and Emily at 3, she just, I knew before we went in there, I said, Emily, you're not going to like the shoes that we're going to get, but that's okay. It's okay. You're just going to wear them for a little while. Anyway, we get in. She says, Michael doesn't like white sandals. So I, being the mature mother, whip around to her and say, Michael doesn't make decisions in our family. The poor young girl trying to help us looks at me and goes, who is Michael? I said, it's her imaginary husband, and we'll be leaving now. It was horrible. Michael obviously wanted the rainbow sequin Birkenstocks. In case you're wondering what Michael's style was.
Yeah,
Michael, cared a lot about what Emily wore. Yeah, so I didn't get it. I didn't understand the intensity. She was a little bit older. She was supposed to be she was in my cousin's wedding. She was 5. I told her, you're not going to like what you have to wear, but it's okay. You're only going to wear it for a little while. We go into, by the way, the same boutique, same little shop. When I say boutique, I mean, I'm trying to communicate how tiny it was when she was having these tantrums and I was sweating. So, but at this point, she was a little bit older. And so she came out wearing the smocked dress. Remember where I'm from. So she comes out wearing the smock dress, and it fit perfectly. It was amazing, the right color, everything. And I look up and she just has tears running down her face. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, it's not me. And I didn't understand. I still don't. I didn't understand why what she wore was so important to her. Why I don't even care. And so I have to remember, to like, if I can find a dress at Target that is a cover up, a sundress and a nightgown, that's amazing to me. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm buying it in every color. Anything I can wear for 48 hours straight, that's a dream. That's my ideal. And so for her, it's just so deep. And I had to learn that that's okay. That's not wrong that she cares. I thought it was something, I was like, holy mackerel. I took her to a counselor when she was 4.
Did you really?
Thinking maybe it was her hormones or something. I just said she was so intense about things that I just didn't care about. And so I asked the counselor, could it be her hormones that make her, is there anything? And she said, well, no, but it could be yours. Yeah. I was like, thanks for that. We will not be coming back. But there was nothing wrong with her intensity. I just didn't understand it. And I didn't understand caring about things like that.
So where did that turn for you? When did you begin to understand that? How did you derive at that?
I'm not going to say that I understand. I'm going to say that I learned that there was nothing wrong with her, that she felt so intensely, and there was nothing wrong with me that I didn't. It was just, we were different. And so now it's not about changing her feelings it's about helping her recognize and wrangle them. So if she can figure out, and see now maybe she was 8 or 9 and I took her, she wanted the New Balance shoes that all the college kids were wearing. They were gray New Balance shoes. Took her to the store to get some. They didn't fit her at all, and she had to get another one. And I look over, and she's sitting by herself crying. And I went over and I said, you know what? I know that you wanted those gray New Balance like the girls were wearing. and they don't fit you. And I know that's frustrating to you, but I notice that you're not having a fit, that it's okay to be upset with that and you're handling it well. So I can't say, I understand that you're upset. I don't understand. And that's okay. I don't have to understand. I just have to help her work through that. We say, identify, process, and express in a healthy way all those feelings.
Wow, that is such great perspective. That is such great perspective.
It comes from doing it wrong over and over and over again. We say at Fearless Mom, I say all the time, my mistakes are only wasted if I keep them to myself. And so my prayer is that when I share about what I did wrong and what I've learned, that somebody else can avoid, the mistakes I made.
See, that's great because, it's like Jones told me, experience is not the best teacher. Other people's experience is the best teacher.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the structure of Fearless Mom. How can somebody be a part of this, or what is your structure? Because I noticed you're not just in Austin anymore.
Right. We, our prayer in the very beginning was just to remove isolation and shame from moms, because it's, the enemy can get in your head and make you think you're the only one who doesn't know what's going on. And it looks like at the pool that all the other moms have it figured out. And so then you begin to keep that a secret, and that shame sets in, that you feel like you're on the outside, and quickly leads to depression. And so we said, if we can get in front of moms and go, hey, guess what? We don't know what we're doing either, but we're all figuring it out together. And so it's okay to say, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. It's okay to say, I don't like my child right now. It's okay to say, I'm not happy in my marriage right now. We just don't want you to stay there. And so when we started, I teach a fall semester and a spring semester at our church. And so we recognized that we have the technology to record it and to put it online. And so that's how it went beyond the walls. So of the church. And so there are lots of ways that you can get connected and be part of the Fearless Mom community. If you're in Austin, join us at Lake Hills Church in the fall and in the spring. If you're not in Austin, you can stay in touch with fearlessmom.com. There's some free videos on there with our social media. And then you can also, what we've done is we take those semesters and we upload them so they're e-courses now. And so you can get all the content and the notes that we do with it. And then also, and our Andy Andrews resources. With our family. Yeah, I'm not kidding. With our vision statement, we just retaught that again for sure. You've been so generous to help us as we craft vision statements. So that's in our e-courses too. But, and then if you are in a neighborhood or at a church and you think, I want to start a Fearless Mom group, you can do that, whether it's just for a semester, or we have some groups who have been meeting for years now. They just take the content and use it in their church, or take the content and show it in their home, and just gather moms together. We just want to help moms see that, yes, it's overwhelming and you're right to feel under-equipped. You're not the only one who feels that way. And we'd like to help you so that you recognize that you're not alone, and we give practical tools so you can feel like a good mom by lunch. There's something you can do, that day to make you feel like, okay, I can do this thing. I do a lot of secular research. I study from psychologists, sociologists, pediatricians, and then we just filter it through scripture and try to give it in bite-sized nuggets to moms.
That is so great. I love your mission and core values to eliminate shame, to embrace responsibility, to equip with tools, and empower by example. That pretty much covers it.
It pretty much covers it.
I mean, if a mom can get that, oh my gosh.
Well, look, our prayer is that a mom reaches out and that we can say, hey, you know what? We want to help you. We want to give you what you need. And if you don't have it figured out, that's okay. We don't have it figured out either. And the truth of the matter is we're making it up as we go. But the good news is that the Bible as a foundation even though it doesn't tell us how many hours of technology a kid should have, it doesn't tell us what's the right curfew or when a kid should get social media, it does give us some guiding principles. As you said, you've got Austin and Adam who are completely different. So you may look at it and go, I'm going to parent this one completely different than I parent this one. Don't get into the weeds yet. Back up and go, all right, let's work on our parenting perspective. Let's work on something, some truths that transcend personality type and life stage. And then we zoom in. But I think that's, as the noticer, you understand that perspective is pretty important.
It is. It is. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you joining us.
You are so kind. I can't, we are huge fans of Andy, Polly, Austin, Adam. We're huge fans of your family and everything that you do. I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
Well,
and you've been so generous and a big Fearless Mom cheerleader. And I just thank you for that.
Well, I'm telling you, Polly and I are your number one cheerleaders. That's for sure. And I can't do enough to turn people on to what you are building there, because it means so much to so many people, and it's working, and you're continuing to dig, you're gaining deeper understanding of these principles and better and better and better ways to teach and explain and relate. And so I just thank you, Julie. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. We'll have on the show notes how to reach out to you and how to be a part of Fearless Mom or create one in your neighborhood. And so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Mackerel scented shampoo provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by parentalguilttrip.com. Are you an adult who has a great relationship with your parents? Are they reasonable, available but not pushy, and emotionally mature? If so, you might have missed out on one of life's most common experiences, and that's where we come in. We are parentalguilttrip.com, a subscription website designed to provide the guilt that has been withheld from you for so long. As a member, you'll be bombarded with text, emails, and recorded phone calls with messages like, "No one calls me anymore. You have no idea how much I've sacrificed for you." And from our premium package, "How can you call yourself a Christian?" Subscribe monthly and choose your rate of incoming grief, or subscribe for a year and get 2 months of "You Never Visit, How Can You Abandon Me Like This?" and "Do You Even Care?" for free. For ordering now, you'll receive the "After All I've Done For You" oldies package as a bonus. So come on, join the crowd. Even if you had stable parents, you can feel just as guilty as the rest of us. Every morning when you wake up and every evening just before bedtime, you'll receive our very best. Doesn't the Bible say honor your parents? I was in labor with you for 16 hours. And the ever-popular "When I'm dead and gone, you'll be sorry." We are parentalguilttrip.com, and don't forget to sign up your spouse. After all, it seems like you could think about someone other than yourself just for once.